For a lot of family businesses, what you hear is it's generation 1 founds it, generation 2 scales it, and generation 3 kills it. So what family legacy, like what are you really passing down? And so we now do family board meetings once a month with our adult children. We talk about future, so that's goals and where we're headed.
Personal goals too, with each individual member of our family has a chance to speak on each of those topics. And we scheduled this family board meetings for 1 hour, and we've never spent an hour. It's always been an hour and a half. We've always had to cut. They want to. It's been incredible. It's been a great experience.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Marketing Blender Show. I'm Dacia Coffey, and joining me is Kyle Coffey, my husband, partner in business, partner in crime, partner in life. And today we are talking in a more structured way about the top 10 tips we have for successfully starting and running a business as husband and wife. We told our story on another podcast episode, but for those of you who didn't see it, we started an oil and gas trucking company, ran that for a decade where he was the front man and I was the controller. We've had the Marketing Blender where I'm the front man and he's the controller for about 13 years now. And about a year and a half ago, we started another crazy entrepreneurial journey where we have started a cattle ranch. And God is the controller of that. Yes, God's ecosystem. And all of it is God's resources, but that was something we had to learn along the way as well. So we've collected some of our best tips and hardest learned lessons. And so we'll actually be sharing a few tools, specific tools with you that we use to do this well. Because the number one thing before we get into the actual stuff is you have to be real intentional if you want to run a business with your spouse. It is not going to be successful and happy and brilliant on accident. Right? Okay. So the very first one that I've got, and in the last episode, we kind of outlined challenges that we're going to face. So I'm not going to bring those up, but let's just kind of, if we spitball them, communication, emotions, understanding money, communication, emotion behind money, challenges. So yeah.
Juggling your personal life, work life. Yeah, we've gone through a bunch of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, number one that we have down is weekly and a cadence of scheduled meetings with pre-planned agendas. Now, Kyle, you were the one that really insisted on this wisely. And so let's unpack, like, what do we do? What do we talk about? That kind of thing.
Yeah, our meetings used to be Friday afternoon when work so-called ended. We would go across the street to a local bar and just start hashing things out and writing them on the back of napkins like everyone does, or sitting on your back patio on a beautiful day, watching the kids running around and solving the world's problems and bitching each other about this, that, and the other. And we're like, what are we getting accomplished? Yeah, great ideas would come about.
Yeah.
And we would implement some of those ideas.
Sometimes some solutions.
But guess what didn't come about it? The hard things.
Yeah.
The budgets.
The details.
To those budgets.
Yeah.
Just what direction we want to go with. Oh my gosh, we need to hire a new person for this role. When is that going to come about? Like the details around them. Like, no, give me a date, this, that, and the other. So we said, hey, we need to meet once a week, and we're going to have an hour-long meeting just like any other buddy would do, that were in business, that worked at the same place, just weren't married to it.
Yeah, executive leadership, ELT meeting. Yeah, but just us two. Mm-hmm.
Every week we would sit down for minimum. I think our first one would start off, or at first it started off for at least an hour and a half, and we would never get through it because we would change the agenda. That's when the agenda came in.
And we weren't consistent in the beginning, and so then we would be catching up on so many topics and throwing things in because we didn't have an agenda. You're right, but they were pretty long in the beginning.
The things you take for granted when you're working with somebody, you don't do it as a couple. You fly by the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
Getting that once a week schedule and agenda dialed in, and every month we would have the weekly agenda, and it would change. So we knew what was coming up week 1, week 2, week 3. I would report all the finances week 2 from the month before, the quarter, the year end, whatever it may be. I'd say, all right, here's the number one thing we need to accomplish on week 2. Here's the number one thing we need to accomplish on week 3.
I will also put kind of a rough template of different agendas we've run over the years so you guys can think through this. But he's right. So week 1 has a very specific agenda. Oftentimes it is financial recap from the previous month and then also looking ahead. Week 2, it's up to you and where your stage in life is. But we have had different ones where we have family planning, calendar, and kind of just time management as a topic. Another one is whatever milestones we have from that we've set for that quarter. Where are we on those milestones? What's happening? We've often have one week that's specific to issues, challenges, and successes. So it kind of grabs everything, that's top of mind. And I will post a list. I'll go back through our calendars and our just. Oh yeah, our big, hairy, audacious goal. Absolutely. Are we making progress?
How are we tracking towards that? Anytime we need to make adjustment, it comes up in that 1 hour meeting.
We've had one where we have the team and culture where it's a specific time of the month to talk about how are we stewarding the relationships and the people that, that we've been allowed to lead, and what do we think about that? Where the dynamics and how do we want that to look? So our agendas have evolved based on where the business was and based on where we are personally in our life. But the key is they are predetermined agendas. And yes, you can add something to the topic, to the agenda if it's urgent, but we've pretty much pre-decided the 80% of that call.
Through those. Week 2 is always finance, by the way. You got to give me a week to get it done. But the week 1 scheduling, we literally, because she travels a lot. I travel a lot now. And, we had kid schedules to work with. And literally, we pack it all in there and say, all right, what does the next 6 weeks look like? We have got to get on the same schedule. That's why I don't know if you're going to get into this.
And that is a perfect segue to number 2. And this was huge, and it took us way longer than it should have. Man, if I could encourage you guys to do this earlier, please do this. It is have one calendar, one schedule, full transparency across both your business and your personal life. Huge, 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 huge.
Now, we have our own dedicated, this is Dacia's schedule, this is my schedule, but it's all shared. Yeah. We can make things private so everyone at work don't see, oh my gosh, you got to go to the doctor? What's it for? Or any of those type of things. And we even did this when our kids were in school, in high school. I don't know how long ago we implemented
high school, I think. That's why I think we were just a little bit later than we should have been.
I'm going to be with the kids doing this during this certain time. Do you know how easy this makes it to actually have personal time and to be able to spend it together to see, oh my gosh, she's not at a business meeting. She's not out of town that weekend or weekdays. When is she getting in town? How can we plan for this? I don't have to text her nonstop. She doesn't have to ask me. It is all there. We're not overlapping schedules, getting on the same schedule.
So many things. Like, he's the detail guy. So many times I would be double booked over something really critically important to our family, but because it wasn't on my business calendar, poof. And I'm not the person that just remembers that. If it's not written down, it is not real for me. And so that was so critical. Being proactive, what?
I'll tell you how impractical she is with scheduling. I'm going to go ahead and break it.
Yay. Yeah. So excited to have you on the podcast.
It would be, all right, I've got a meeting from 4 till 5, and I've got dinner at 6. She wouldn't put drive time that it's 30 minutes away.
Changing clothes.
Anything. And I was just like, where are your break? Why are you running around with your chicken head, your head cut off, chicken like a head cut off with all your business meetings? I was like, no wonder you don't leave 15 minutes in here for anything. How are you supposed to do? She would just say, I've got to get everything done, blah, 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 blah. I was like, you've got to put drive time in the calendar. You've got to do the simple things. Like, you can't expect yourself to do everything all the time and everything go plan as accordingly. What if that meeting lasts 15 minutes? That used to happen all the time. I was like, never put them back to back. Like, we mean back to back, leave a gap off the cutoff time. That's a key tip with clients, by the way. If you're client facing and always on phone calls with clients, leave yourself a 15-minute gap between two clients, because you don't know if it's going to go longer. You've got to get your head spun on right. If things don't go good with that client meeting, if they go great, it goes over, just leave yourself that gap. You'll find stuff to do. Trust me.
Well, and on that note, related to both the first and the second one, timing of communication. Man, it's so easy to get your feelings hurt when you walk into your husband or your wife's office and they're like, not now, babe. And this was huge. Yeah, but this was huge. And so when we have one calendar and when we have pre-agreed, no one feels like you never make the time for me. You're never keeping me in the loop, because we have that sacred time where we're catching up on important things. But also you can quickly look at the calendar and be like, oh, she's on meetings for the next half of the day. Okay, cool. I'm going to have to send an email or talk to her tomorrow, or interrupt and be like, this is mission critical. I need you for 5 minutes. But at least you would know, okay, I've got 5 minutes.
Well,
like I've needed.
I'm going to lunch with you today. And I'll write down a list of things that somewhat urgent. I don't look at anything as urgent. I mean, we don't work at hospitals.
Okay, well, this is recorded. I'm gonna play this back to you next time you're like, I gotta get something.
Did I say that?
You did.
I'm a good employee.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. But that's been huge. And these sound so basic, but they've really helped us be proactive and supportive of one another, even though they're extremely tactical. One final strategic structural one, though, is we do annual planning together, and it is whole. It's holistic, whole person, how we see this. And I'm going to upload the super simple template that we use. But basically, we just talk out loud. What are all the different things? And each one of you will have a different style. Like, he needs to talk things out loud, and I will help by documenting them, listening to them. And I can be like, okay, babe, you're taking on way more than you can chew. He has hella energy, but still. But I'm the kind where I want to prep it. I want to write it down and think through that and then present it. And so you'll have different styles. So each couple will need to do this differently. But our annual planning literally organizes our big milestones, personal and professional, by quarter. This includes vacations. This includes things we wanted to do, maybe concerts, maybe home projects. It includes the quarterly initiatives so that we can be thinking, well, what mindset are we in? Does that make sense to put that fun thing in the middle of Hell Week? Maybe not, but we really do. And you get a visual lay of the land for what is too much, where can we accelerate, and and just, are we on the same page about what does this year look like? And then you kind of get a feel, like the year takes on a color or a character, that you can kind of agree on, like this is going to be exciting or this is going to be a challenging year, but like we both see it.
We knew better, and we've been doing it with our business for a while. Well, we started this cattle ranch, and we just started implementing it into quarterly goals. I just went full bore as hard as I could, probably for 8 months straight.
You might be married to one of those.
I hit my first accomplishment of being able to support the land, being able to support the cattle I brought in. I had to have all the infrastructure come in, so I said, oh my gosh, I gotta get this done. And I flew through it all. She goes, you are over about a year ahead of schedule in 8 months.
Way more. Yeah. He was so far ahead of schedule.
I had to slow down. And so we laid that at that point, we laid out the next year. It wasn't a calendar year. And every quarter, what did I want to accomplish? How much it would have cost? When do I have time for it? We did that. And it's not 4 months later, and I had to change it. Not fast forward, I had to slow it down. I had to say, hold on a minute. I have ran into a few hiccups. And it allows us to get back on that same page when we visit that calendar. Now, we only have to visit that calendar about once a month. It's not as complicated as a work.
No, you just check the list. Like, where are we at?
It is a business, or will be a business, once we get it up and running the way we want to. But we revisit it and adjust those goals. It allows you to adjust the goals and be practical also. It also says, what have I not accomplished when I needed to? I need to push that down the road. What I need to take away. It organizes everything. It is a very good tip to do that. But that's scheduling.
But it doesn't matter, because guess what? It doesn't allow either one of you to change your mind about what you said out loud, like reverse, like changing history, right? So
he's reminded me. Wait a minute, go see what you wrote down. I went.
And guess what? So much easier to say, hey, babe, let's check the paper versus that is not what you said, right? Like, like it's a different tenor of conversation when I can be like, argue with yourself. This is what you committed to on the paper. That's not what you said versus point, poke, poke. He said, she said.
How to run a company successfully and get along as a couple. Is this what this is? Or
Yes.
because, okay, I'll go on the flip side of that. With finances, the same way. This ain't the budget you
100%.
said. This ain't the budget we agreed upon.
100%.
But
I agree. No, that's
yeah,
right.
you're right.
Things being
It
written
does
down.
bring things back to, it grounds you.
Yep.
It grounds you in a heartbeat. It keeps you on the same page, same goal, same mission.
Absolutely. And you don't want to be so rigid you can't change. Kyle's right. We changed the list, but at least we agree on that. You know, like when we're changing the document, we're doing it together, like, oh, we need to rearrange this or we need to update it. And that is completely fine. Okay, so we will move on to more on the relationship side. But the reason we brought those really tactical, boring type of ones up is that they prevent so many emotional problems by being proactive and being literally physically on the same page. So being on the same page is we wanted to give you something practical. Okay, the next one I have, Kyle, is I have for number 4, watch your tone.
And that's for me.
I'm saying this for us.
We talked about that in the last podcast. Well, we've only had two. You and I have only had, this is only our second one, but the last recording we did talk about being respectful of one another's emotions, and that is with your tone, obviously. When you don't do that to normal employees, don't do it at work. You don't.
That's right. Yes.
You've got to be consistent from top to bottom. What are people gonna? It's not just to make your relationship better, but how's everyone around you and work with you gonna view you? Wait a minute, they talk to each other that way? That'd be horrible to be around.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get more accomplished when you're gonna be. Yeah, you're gonna disagree, but you're gonna get more accomplished by keeping a cool head about yourself and saying, what do we need to do to accomplish X, Y, and Z?
Yep.
It's not that difficult. Slow your roll.
And this shows up in so many different places. So you guys already heard, and I know several of you have experienced the time in your business where literally it was back-to-back meetings and you felt like you had to run for your life to keep this doggone thing above water, right? Well, my tone frequently on those days, if he's like, hey, babe, got a minute? No, you know I don't. And I mean, I would bite his head off, even if my words weren't cruel. They are rude beyond anything I would have ever used with, one of our other team members. So he's so right. It can show up there, where my impatience is communicating. And from day one, we've been very intentional about business tone in the business space. So I do, and he does try to show up very professional to each other, where we do have, an equal tone that we would use. And so we have a warm, fun culture. So of course we're going to have warm, fun communication between us. We're not going to pretend like we're not married, but we're not going to lean into that either. Not on the good side and not on the bad side, because we don't want inside jokes where nobody knows what's going on, but also we don't want sniping, where everybody's like, oh, I don't want to know what's going on. And this one comes up. I mean, it takes a lot of self-awareness and commitment to want to be your best self for your partner.
And I know, we're definitely going to be ourselves. We don't really hide anything at all. We're not like, oh, get in my office right now. I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Any of that type of stuff. But I brought this up, and I brought it up before, is like when you work for somebody, you can leave it at work. You can come home and just leave it alone, go throw the ball, go cook dinner, go get a steak. I don't want to talk about work. You have to talk about work when you're working with your spouse. You have to.
Exactly. Keep it cool. All right. Number 5 is a business lesson that I give so much advice at. It actually comes from Coach Kyle when he was coaching our boys. So number 5 is know your role. And for spouses running a business together, stay in your lane. So, all right, unpack know your role, because I give everyone this advice about know your role on your team, that type of thing.
You've heard it enough. It's pretty self-explanatory. Know your lane, know your role. Whether she likes it or not, I create the budget. She agrees upon it. We can adjust it. I start off with something. Now, midway through the year, if it ain't, she has a right to hear about it. I'm the finance guy. I'm like, if we're not hitting this budget, then this is going to have to happen. This is black and white for me. This is like what you hired me to do. Any contracts, you hired me to do this. Basically, I look at it that way. She's the CEO. I answer to that. But and she has to respect that in a form or fashion, because if she gives me too much pushback, I'll be like, why?
Why am I even here?
Yeah, and we've done that before.
Yep. And let's be clear, every executive and leader on your team will think like that too. It's just heightened when it's a spouse. So it's fine as the CEO to go, no, I disagree, like every so often, but it should be the 1% or the 0.1%. If you have a competent leader that owns something important like finance in your company, you should trust them. You should believe them. Like, you shouldn't be constantly trying to do their job, even if you used to do that job. I used to do that job. I even used to do that job for the other company we ran. I know this job, but he's better at it. And this is his role and his lane now.
Flip side of that, we put a lot of money into your marketing. Well, we thought it was a lot of money. Well, we started putting money into marketing.
Yeah.
I would have input on that. Might not be the whole team, but I would argue it. She's the marketer. What am I doing talking about marketing? I don't know anything about marketing plans. I don't know that, but I'm thinking that I do, right? Because it's like my money too. I just need to start having input on this. Finally, I just got to the point where I said, all right, here's the marketing budget. And then everyone's like, okay, here's my money. I said, I don't care what you do with it, but just show me the data on it, because I have a right to know that. Like, is it working or not? We need to quit spending money towards this trigger of marketing, this sector of marketing, whatever you want to call it. I was like, that ain't working in the data. I would need to pull a plug. That would be the only input I have on their marketing now. Creative ideas, we can sit around and talk about that, but that's part of being married to the business, is the creativity, your vision, your goals that help each other along.
That's fun.
But I don't have a right to tell her how to market her own company. Are you kidding me?
And you know what? One additional one, and a lot of you guys are going to be like, oh, we're too small for that. No. Follow your org chart around people. So who reports to you? If your team is only 3, 4, 5 people, they need to know who's the boss, their boss, who is their confidant, who is the one that gives structured feedback, not this messy overlapping where it's like either fear or too much encouragement or mixed messages, that type of thing. So sure, talk about it behind the scenes, get on board, but make sure that people have clear lanes of communication. And again, on the point of not being too small, there are vendors, there are clients, there are always relationships. And which one of you is the true owner of that? That does not mean you don't collaborate and have input, but someone owns that relationship and owns that channel of communication, and they need to be accountable to it. But the other person needs to be accountable to staying in their lane and respecting that lane too. So that's been a really big one. And it helps so much to support one another, but then go, all right, cool, I trust you. So
it takes a lot off of the other one's shoulders too.
yeah.
To know, oh my gosh, I just have to check in with him, once a month on X, Y, and Z. He's taking care of it, or vice versa. I was like, hey, we'll ask the questions. Hey, how's this going? How's that going? But on the flip side, you're there for a reason. Know why it is, and just don't let the other one have to carry your burden.
Yeah, exactly. We are now on number 6, the 6 tips we have for running a successful business as husband and wife. The numbers don't lie. This one's tough. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, right? But
it is what it is. It's like that in your personal life. It's like that in your business. And the two are connected, by the way. You're going to hear a million different ways that people navigate and explanations about why they borrowed money for this and not that, or spent on this, and you don't do it at home. They are one of the same. You keep them separate. They've got their own P&L statements, basically, your home and your business, but they are the same and they don't lie. If you're in trouble, you're in trouble.
Yep.
Period.
And there is no excuse for not growing in your financial wisdom and your financial prowess as an entrepreneur. What they taught you in college or what you have done in your other roles is completely different than owning the financial statements top to bottom. There was a point for me in my career where I literally had to eat humble pie and go, just because I know the definition of these doesn't mean I actually know how to read these spreadsheets, how to really manage them, how to navigate them, right? So templates that we finally agreed on cash flow, projections, agreed upon, what are our cash reserves? What level of debt leverage are we comfortable with? What are we not comfortable with? Hiring and firing decisions, especially hiring though, because one person's going to say we need to hire ahead in preparation for a big onslaught. Somebody else is going to say we need to hire after the work shows up, right? But the numbers don't lie. And so I've got a couple more things, but this is a very big deal. You cannot, neither one of you can abdicate your responsibility for understanding the numbers. Kyle can read spreadsheets like a novel. It's unbelievable. Like he can look at a spreadsheet of almost any business and he will immediately see the risk, the problem, and even be able to narrow down where the problem is inside of the people and processes. Not me. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be looking at the spreadsheets going, what do I think? What surprises me? What questions do I have? Is this what we agreed upon last quarter, last month, last year? Like I have to really get in there and own it and make sure you know everything. Where are all the accounts? What is happening? Why are they making the decisions? Is it the decision that you agreed upon? It makes for such a stronger marriage. Because I also am communicating to him, I really respect what you do. I'm taking this side of the business really seriously, and I can hear you, even if you're saying something I don't want to hear. But good God, I just have so much to say about don't avoid this.
Yeah, the numbers don't lie. She sees the numbers different than I do.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to customize our cash flow statements and just different spreadsheets that I share with her to be able to explain it in her terms. Everyone knows that she's as smart as I am, but she just translates the numbers different. And when I was able to present her with the numbers that she needed to know and how she needed to read them, it made things so much easier. You know how we probably spend 5 minutes a month now of me just running down, here's what this looks like, what's this mean, blah, blah, blah. The only time we spend longer on that is when we have to make the adjustments, and I'll say, here's when a trigger needs pulled to either hire, do whatever we need to do with the business. But the conversations are simple now. 7, 8, 9 years ago, we would butt heads with it.
Oh, yeah.
We would say, no, you gotta understand, because her idea is, we need to grow, we need to do this, I was like, I don't want to hold you back from that, but I have to lay out the practicalities of it.
Yeah.
It's not me being negative about anything, but it is like, I want you to grow too. But she wouldn't understand. What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And so that's how I understood eventually of us communicating back and forth about all this of like, oh man, she doesn't need to see these numbers like an accountant sees these numbers. She needs to see how she views the world, how she views things. Just show it to her differently. They're the same numbers, by the way. They're just presented in a different fashion.
And if you're not the natural numbers person in the couple, here's my tip for you. Just get away from the screen, get away from the spreadsheets, think about the business, kind of go, okay, where are we? And then write down your questions that you either need validated or that you realize you don't know or that are making you nervous. Write them down so that you can see what are you thinking, what were you expecting, even write down what you expect to see. Just 5-10 minutes of just being in your own head, zooming out from the business and going, okay, well, what am I curious about? That alone will bring you so much clarity in, because then you're also like, it takes me a minute to understand what he's trying to tell me about a risk or a certain line or why it's a problem or that type of thing. But if I'm armed, it's weird. I could kind of get there faster with you because I took a little bit of preparation time.
And it puts a little fire under you. You can see it. Once she sees it, she's like, oh, okay, I got this. I'm good. Let's go,
Okay. And then a book that we have given out maybe dozens of times. Keith Cunningham's books are brilliant, and definitely get the Blueprint book. So I will link it below, but oh my gosh, especially if you're not the numbers person, this book is magic for making sure that you understand all the different financial statements, what they mean, when you need to look at them, why you should care, like, is a game changer for getting on the same page. So we have given that book out a lot.
It's a short read, believe it or not, even though it's numbers, which is usually boring.
It's great. And he's not boring, though. These are great. It's a great book. And The Road Less Stupid. Oh, if you need an agenda, go through The Road Less Stupid. It's so good.
Read the first one. That way you could take your time thumbing through the pages and understanding the nuances of cash flow statements and this, that, and the other. But what was the second one's, the title of it?
Oh, The Road Less Stupid?
Yeah.
The Ultimate Blueprint is the one we were talking about.
Yeah, I listened to an audiobook on that on planes and stuff. I was like, oh, this is good on audiobook. The first one I would suggest reading the actual book, the paper.
Yeah. Don't listen to that one. Yeah. But the other one's a great listen. I listened to that one too. I wrote down a lot of the questions. Okay, number 7. Don't be right, be together. There are times when you're right. You're right. It might be right now. Guess what? You're right. So what? It's going to cost you everything to prove that you're right. If you cannot get in alignment and if you cannot build unity, even across totally different points of view, you are not right. You are stupid and you are losing and you are killing your marriage. You've got to agree that unity is the goal. Like, coming out on the other side of this is
it's not shutting up and leaving a room and slamming the door behind you going, yeah, they're right, but you think they're not. Yeah, because you're going to pout. It's going to be, it's going to come back up if you do that. Just when she says you have to be together, you can go about things 2 different ways and come out with the same outcome.
Yeah.
Just navigate through that. And guess what? You're not going to agree on everything. That's fine. Like, don't agree with anything. But guess what? You've got to agree with the solution and be supportive of the other person.
Yeah.
When it all boils down to it, when you leave the room, just say, you know what? I don't agree with this approach, but I am going to be on board with trying to make this work.
Yes. Don't sniper.
That sounds weird.
Don't sniper that person's decisions, not in front of your team, not behind the scenes. Don't say yes and then go run a different plan. Like, holy cow, there's so many different things here.
And ask yourself, who has the better expertise in the decision we're making? If it's her and I don't agree with it, then I've got to go with her solution to the plan and trust in it, because I haven't done the research she did on any hot topic that she may have brought up that I don't agree with. Because a lot of times when you disagree with somebody, sometimes you're flying by the seat of your pants, or you're just disagreeing because of something you may have heard, or I don't think that's going to work. How many times we say, I don't think that's going to work? Well, hell, if I listened to every time I thought, I don't think that's going to work, we would have never owned any of these businesses. Like, matter of fact, if you're starting entrepreneurship, you're going to hear no more than you're going to hear yes. Don't do that. That's a horrible idea. Oh my gosh. I still hear it to this day. Why are you doing that? I can't believe you're getting into this or that. And it's like, man, you're going to hear so many negative people, and mainly because the majority of working class work for somebody, and they don't take those risks.
But, and it doesn't matter if you are the riskier partner or the more risk averse partner. You have equal stake and ownership in making this true, right? So you as the spouse, let's say, and your partner is the one that has the entrepreneurial dreams, you might say yes, but then in your actions, heart, communication, you are constantly undermining their communication and second guessing everything. No. If you said yes to this journey. Also, if you're the lead, like if you're the front man, there is no scenario where every single decision you've ever made is going to be the correct one. And you've got to respect that whoever made whichever decision, you've got to have their back. Period.
One of the worst words after something doesn't go right.
I told you so. Don't say that.
Ever.
Don't say I told you so. Exactly.
If you're at home and something at home, you're like, hey, blah, 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 I told you so, you can get away with it. Not in business. Don't ever say it. I've said it. You probably said it to me. I'm sure you said it to me. I told you so. Doesn't go good. Not at all. Get on board. Be supportive. Whether you think you agree or not, just come out with the same goal in mind and just be on board with that.
Yeah. And here's a weird tip remember what your partner's strengths are and believe yourself, right, about that. So for instance, if you're in a situation where you're like, I don't know about this, but this is their lane, this is their role, this is where they're strong, like remind yourself, like, I know this to be true about that person and I can believe in that, even if I don't believe in the exact detail that's coming out of their mouth or something. And so really lean into each other's strengths and don't forget them. Like keep reminding yourself, why you love that person, and because it's so easy to erode things, you've got to be intentional about the belief in the person, because holy cow, how many times, like both of us going out on a limb, your faith in me, and I would assume vice versa, made all the difference.
Sometimes I think we should have held each other back. Well, I mean, we've had way too much faith in each other when some of the stupid decisions we've made in the past of being like, oh
my goodness, exactly.
Yeah. We're telling you guys these tips. Everything hasn't been hunky-dory. We're giving you these tips because of all the
trials, tribulations,
arguments and button heads, all the fun stuff,
Okay, number 8, know your core values and use them as decision-making criteria. So what is true for business is true for family. And what we see often is that you have core values for your business, but then they are slightly different. They're going to flow from your natural family core values, but there's usually a layer under that or around that adds accountability and adds unity to it, but we don't talk about it. And I think it's so powerful.
When you said they're your core values, they're yours.
Yeah.
They're going to translate into your business, into your personal life of who you are. That's a core value. It's a core value, and we do allow a team to have input on those core values. You know how long it took us to really dial in those core values and say, these are ours. We thought they might be whatever. We revisited that, I'd say two times since you, just to make sure, are these our core values? Is this how you guys see us?
Yeah, exactly. And they do become decision-making criteria. And especially when it comes to money, and then when it comes to people, right? And so especially when you've got to have each other's back on money, how do you steward your finances? How do you steward God's resources? Are we generous? Like, are we savers? Are we, and they really do roll back to core values. There's been lots of times where our character was the thing that was like, okay, this is the right thing to do, when the data or the facts weren't exactly. And then, the other part too is like, if you have a situation, whether you have to do layoffs or whether you have to fire, oh man, that better be in alignment with your core values, because you've got to go into those really heartbreaking situations together and on a foundation of strength and things that are non-negotiable, which come from the heart, right? In order to get through that. Because being an entrepreneur, like, everybody talks about it being so sexy, but I mean, you will have days where it will break your heart. And that's just true.
Yeah, you definitely will. And if you haven't come across that yet, don't call yourself an entrepreneur.
Well, you can call, but just,
I don't know. That means
lot.
They haven't fully experienced what it's like to.
Good point.
Be in business. Like, if everything can't go, I don't think there's anyone out there that, how many does it broke your heart for 2 days about?
So many. Oh my God. Oh, husbands, be fine with your wife crying. Like, if you decide to do this together, get real comfortable with that.
And that's when you let her bring the work home. Just don't tell her to turn it off. Not a good idea.
Okay, so core values, that rolls into a new one that we've done because we have young adult children. So they are fully fledged. They're in their 20s.
Young adult children.
They're young adults.
Yeah, no, that's
but they are our children.
Yeah, we've got parent children too. I'm just joking. They won't be watching this. It's all right. Well, I mean, he could have.
So this is dependent on where you are, but honestly, depending on your family, you can do this earlier than we did. We had a God whisper when we were sitting on our dock at the ranch about the fact that if things go well, even a little well, you will someday leave things to your children. And it's weird because when we say that, it's typically financial things, right? Property or stock or something, like whatever. But did you pass down the tools and the life lessons and the character that will allow them to steward it to another level. Because for a lot of family businesses, what you hear is it's generation 1 founds it, generation 2 scales it, and generation 3 kills it. So what family legacy, like what are you really passing down? And so we now do family board meetings once a month with our adult children, and we talk about the F's. So I will post this in the show notes as well. But the F's are, we always talk about faith, so we always start with that. We talk about family, so personal highs and personal lows and making sure we stay in connection. We talk about finance. We talk about future, so that's goals and where we're headed.
Personal goals too, with each individual member of our family has a chance to speak on each of those topics. So it's not like
No, we're not just vomiting information on them. No.
And when we say finances, it's just we haven't even touched base yet with our kids exactly the details of our finances and how things will go. It is about how they go through life.
Yeah.
And look at their personal life and the finances involved and what it's like to budget things when they're coming out of college and ratios of what leverage you should have with debt and things like that. It's like it's an open conversation, no crazy no questions crazy, that type of deal. It's just like, all right, you want to know? Let's talk through this. And we scheduled this family board meetings for 1 hour. And we've never spent an hour. It's always been an hour and a half. We've always had they want to. It's been incredible. It's been great experience. The faith part of it, just hearing everyone where that and their faith journeys just open. You get to not only know your kids in a different light, but you get to feel where they're at in that particular moment and what they're striving to be or learn. And it's just been a great experience. I would I've told a few of my close friends about this family board meeting, and one of them already implemented it within. Matter of fact, I told him about it, and the next time I saw him about a month later, he brought it up. I was like, man, it's great. You ought to get it started. He already did.
That's amazing.
And he goes, you're right. It's
amazing.
Incredible to have these family board meetings, even though they're in college, getting out of college. I go, this thing won't end, and we have the bylaws because we're like, when they get married, then their spouses are allowed to join. Like it's going to grow from there. Grandkids, we want to start them off early of going, all right, here's what we're about. Here's why we're called a family. This is the things that we strive and work together.
We checked in as a family on our core values. It took several months even. Talking and follow up and really distilling down what is the essence of us as a family and what do we stand for in God's kingdom. So, but it's been a really powerful time to carve out intentionality, to build character, to share the stories that formed our character and to help them explore theirs as they move forward. So yeah, it's been amazing. So family board meetings are another tip. We do use an agenda. This is important because it's a really intentional, thoughtful cadence. It's not just blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, one of the neat things is everyone goes around and says, what's something positive that's going on that you're excited about and what are you struggling with? And then everyone has to go around and answer, and you'll be surprised. You may think you know your family well and what they're going through, either on the bright side or going, man, I'm struggling with this, and how can I get better? And it's not strictly asking for advice. It's just talking to one another.
Yeah, exactly. Just doing life together. Yeah. Exactly. So that was number 9. I love that one. Number 10. Turn it off. So there's a couple different things. There are times when you have to turn business off, but I think for us, you have to let your partner say, not now. And we've been, I don't know why, I don't know if it developed, but we learned pretty quickly that if one of us is like, not now, babe, and just respecting that, knowing where your partner is in their day or in their moment, sometimes you do need to think about, when am I bringing this up? But you definitely need to give each other permission to be like, not now, and respect that and don't take it personally. Just acknowledge that's them telling you the truth about them. And then I have a bonus one down here. Or maybe this is number 10. I'm not sure. I lost count. Let's pray together. So especially if you're a family of faith, it's amazing. Like, you know, we go to church together. We've always been aligned in, you know, our Christian values and what we wanted. And I don't think we out loud, except for our Father, you know, Lord's Prayer at dinner table or something. I don't think we out loud started praying together until about 10 years ago. And even just here and there, but it's profoundly intimate.
It will bring a calm over you, even during the hard times.
Yeah.
It allows you to also be grateful.
Yeah.
And be on that same page and have that joy coming out of prayer.
It's very vulnerable. So to pray out loud, even with the most important person in your life, like you realize like you're really giving something and opening yourself up more than you realized in places where you didn't realize you weren't. And, you know, I think that's been really beautiful. And I agree. Like, you know, you just somehow have more grace for that person, more unity, you know, I mean, like the fruits of the Spirit start showing up in your relationship and like in your communication and, you know, and your aligned desires for the world. So yeah, pray together. I know it's so crazy to say like, and admit out loud, like how hard and scary that can be. But start little, like it's, you know, it doesn't have to be complicated or flowery, but you know, sometimes just those moments are a really big deal. So I know. Well, you guys, thank you so much. Kyle, thank you, you know, for doing this and for the journey, you know. We will have show notes. So we will post the 10 below. We will put any templates. And if there was anything that opened up, you know, your curiosity about how they do that or how they figure that out, good Lord, we have loads and loads of stuff, you know, hard won and hard built, you know, from a couple of decades of doing this together. So if you'd like to see anything, hear anything, or have questions, that is what we are here for. And onward and upward, you guys.